So BASI is continuing to explain the Lamata Mata the Tachlis, and that the Ein Sof descends unfathomably below. The unfathomable component is that the Ein doesn't change, as explained at length. Even this investure, there's no real changes, no tzimtzum, not in atzmos, obviously, not in mo'er, but even not in oil. That's the point of the mind. As explained with the various mashalim and hesbedim that were given over the last few days. And therefore, Ni Hashem Leishanisi, even in the oil. But all of this is to lead to L'mayla Ma'ila, to enhance L'mayla Ma'ila Adin Tachlis, which is the Oitzer, which is the Helam, which is the Tzimtzum. That's the Oitzer. So we're getting to there. Omdom Afal Pishlachre Kolen Yom de Pulasat Tzimtzum. Harize Be'oif Oishei. Harize Be'oif and the Loishanisi. After all that we've explained, and all the dimensions of the Tzimtzum, nonetheless, the Tzimtzum does not affect the real change in the Oid, as explained earlier. Because Malcolm, it's all true, but still, in terms of the way it's manifested and received by the Makabel, by us. So the Oid comes to us, concealment, it's the descent, concealment after the concealment, till Elam Hazeh, where it's utterly concealed. This is, as we pointed out already many times.
Did you finish the last twice?
We didn't finish the last twice?
Did you finish the last part of the last twice?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah,
we did. Okay.
Yeah. So again, the way the Frierdiker Rebbe is explaining the Maimer HaZoyer is the opposite of the way we would understood it, the Pashtus, and the way it was understood till the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Maila Adin Ketz means Ein Sof Lifnei HaTzimtzum. Ein Sof is infinite, it's high without end. He teaches the Mamish, the Hepech, the Maila, the virtue, the Maila of the Ein Sof Adin Ketz is the Tzimtzum. Well, the Matam Adin Tachlis is explained at length in the previous chapters, is the descent of the Ein Sof Adin Tachlis, because the Gilui, because Be'etzem, there's no Tzimtzum for the Ein, and you violation this. That points to Gilui. The Matam Adin Tachlis is Gilui, well, the Mail Adin Ketz is Hela. Keicha Bligvul, Keicha Gvul. The bottom line is that Keicha Gvul expresses Atzmos deep in the Keicha Bligvul. And that's the Eitze given to every Jew. Again, I hope you understand what we're saying, but the man will explain it, and we will explain it. Be'ezer Hashem. The Keicha Gvul expresses the investure of Atzmos more so than Keicha Bligvul. Even though in essence it's all equal for him. But the whole point of Dir B'Tachtonim is to make a Seder, and that we should understand it. And in that Seder too, there are two dimensions. You have to grasp it. This is the whole template. There's the overt Seder, where high is high and low is low, and Gvul is a chsaron, and Bligvul is a Maila, and there's closer to God and there's further from God. That's the overt Seder Mitzad Hashtalshelus. Then comes the Avodah. To Avodah, Megala know that in the Helem, Atzmos is invested even deeper or more directly. Third stage, that transforms Eira Bligvul also. That Eira Bligvul is not a virtue per se, only the expression of Atzmos. That's the third stage, not dealt with even in the mind, although we hinted to earlier. I think we may point it out. Again, 3 stages. It's higher, lower. Avodah, Mesiras Nefesh, Tshuva, Torah that reveals the Kavanas Dir B'Tachtonim, Then we reveal that no, dafkin helem, and we understand it in seichel. God wants us to understand in seichel that dafke in helem is the expression of atzmus. Simple illustration. It takes more effort for you to contain yourself than to express yourself. You're more invested. It's a mission of Pirkei Avos. This deep idea. Who's the mighty one? Not the one who gives vent and expression to himself, but who restrains himself. And we see God made us in this way, in the image of him, blessed be he, that it takes more effort to keep your mouth shut than to say what you want to say. And for a host number of other related reasons. That dafke and helem, but there's no giloi, what's left is etzem. Blinded by the light, giloi obscures etzem. When you're looking at the external construct of something, you cannot see the atom at the same time. Because if you see the atom and we isolate an atom, you could be looking at anything. Atom bilti mizgala explained means that when you look at the atom bilti mizgala from the atom itself, you cannot know what is the construct, that this is a gas, solid, liquid, what is it? And the gilui conceals the essence. If we're relating it to it as gas, solid, liquid, we're not relating it on an atomic level. But then there's a fusion of the two. When we do relate to it on an external level, appreciating it's made by atoms, but then still you're only appreciating. But what if you're looking at? If you're looking at tzir, you can't see etzem. If you're looking at etzem, you can't see tzir. Is that clear? The marshal of the atom. I tell you, I'm holding. What's in your hands? Well, there's atoms. You don't know. No idea. It could be anything. Tzir, you can't know. If I tell you I'm holding a tissue, you know that there's atoms made up of atoms, but you're not relating or seeing the atom, you're seeing the tissue. You're relating to the tissue. And a whole of other biyurim, and other related biyurim that bring out, as you will over here also, to an extent, that dafke what? Dafke and lack in helem, that's where the etzem is invested. Direct. And the greatest helem is Elam Hazir. Therefore, Atzmos is dafke lamat. Because there's no giloi, there's even a denial of him. On the related level, the Maimon will kind of say at the end, again, I'm just giving explanations, all related. It's all one that could. Why the etzem is dafken helem. Another related thing. For the as we see, we're made in this image. I'll put this to understand this. For you to tolerate your enemy and to sustain him and to nourish him and create him, it's much more effort than to feed your friend, to relate to your friend. For the Abishah to create a world that denies and defies him, well, defy and even worse, deny, ignore it, worse still, is a greater investure. On a little bit deeper, it's a great investure of his magnificent truth. That he can create even that which denies him, which is a sheker and a hepach emes, but he can create that. An artist cannot produce something that's not expressive of him. Here, the Abish is creating something which denies him. Oh, that brings out his essence even deeper. He's not an entity. He's not an entity like all entities that give expression. Listen carefully. We're saying in new words now, never said before, not in this year. All entities by nature express themselves. God's not. Varaya, he can express himself a way that denies him. It's the opposite of his expression. That's Elam Hazeh. An artist cannot produce a piece of art that denies he's an artist. Can't produce anything that says he's not an artist. It's all going to be that. That's what artists do. They also go crazy and throw paint at the canvas. Okay, all right, you don't understand it, but for him, it's art. It's giving expression to something. It's venting something in there. And what it's venting is who he is, not what he's not. It's what he is. And here the aim is to create something that says that he's not. Only God can do that. Only Atzimus. You can't do that. Revelation produces revelation. That's what revelation is. This is not revelation. Is this somewhat clear? We should sink in a bit because this is the Nakuda. You're going to write it up and send it to me in your own words. That'll be a very healthy exercise. Force you to think and struggle and be confused and then get it even much deeper than you're getting it now.
AI will have a field day.
AI will go crazy, and this one doesn't know what to tell you. I guarantee you. Try it. Rabbi, you say, it sounds like you're learning Siddur. Go learn. Go learn the Maamre of ותשמ and others, and I'm based in Samavav. That was my mother. Okay, was that clear? Yeah, so think can percolate in the head a little bit. Okay, that's where we're going here. That's where we're going. So let's go. So so after true mitzad the oil, there's no shinoi abalapeyo in terms of giloi. How does it boy from the hell and machad hell and what canal meteret sabashem? We did this also. Huh?
I realized we got until number 50.
Yeah. Okay. So the Bashem Tov. Okay, let's keep on going down this world of concealment, the Helem, Achad Helem, so much so that people don't feel that their life force is. They feel they're alive, but not that it's godliness, and even worse than that. First, it's interesting. He quotes Paroi. Paroi says, "Yoedi the Nile River is mine," and it goes on to say, "And I made myself." I don't know why the Maimon doesn't want to quote that, just v'chulu. But the next quote is about a Yid. Yid would never say that. A Yid says, okay. A Yid says that what I did is my genius, my hard work, my blood, sweat, and tears. That's my fortune. That's my achievement. That's the bread on my table. Just occurred to me the Friday night, a new pshat, why we cover the bread. Summation of the whole week, he covers the bread. You didn't put that there. Yeah, the keli. They used to put it there. You cover it. Make Kiddush, even deeper. Make Kiddush has to be covered. Declaring it, the sanctity of Shabbos, the Creator, and your bread's got to be covered then. Because if your bread is open, it's no, I did that. No, you cover it. Okay, and you pshat in covering the bread. Nice words, friends, but we got to internalize it. Yeah, that's why your wife stands there. And before you make Kiddush, you say Ishes Chayil. That's the first step in. Hey, a little bit of getting out of wrapped up in me is the Eshte Zach is Ishes Chayil. Pasha, the Parnas is b'chus the wife. The wife. Plus, she has much more innate sense that God runs the world than the guy does. So before he makes Kiddush, he acknowledges her. Thanks to good Lord for the gift of his wife. Ja, weiter. We say, yeah, number 50. How could this be? This question is critical. How can we not know there's a God? That is going to be only God can make a matzav that we don't know him. That's Koich Atzmus. That's where he's going now with the Shaila. Or to say it in other words, which you said the other day. This is the Shaila in Shaila Emunah. In Shaila Emunah, Alter Rebbe says that the Koich Atzimtzum is just as inexplicable as the Koich HaYisavus. Havayu Olikim. To create out of nothing is obviously inexplicable. We can't even understand what nothing. Can't imagine it. It doesn't get off the ground. The Tzimtzum is just as inexplicable. Why? What do you mean God hides? That's nonsense. You can hide beside something, right? You don't see my face because this is not me and not you. You can hide behind it. There's nothing outside of you. Hide behind what? Hide behind what? There's no what. The whole thing of hiding is behind something. But there's no something. So how can the niver not feel bottled? How can he not feel bottled? I'm saying the same thing we started earlier with. It's Kechatzmus. There's nothing outside of you. You create something that completely is outside of you in his own perception. And the glib answer, well, you're hiding yourself, does not work because you can only hide behind something that is neither you or the thing you're hiding behind. As in, an entity cannot hide itself from itself. If I put my hand on my head, I'm not hidden from me. And my hand on my hand, I'm not hidden from me. Which is why you can't cover your hand with your head to make a bracha. That's you. What are you covering it? It's all you. You can't cover you with you. It doesn't help. Cover the erva with your hands. It's not a pialocha, it's not a covering, because it's you. The other person can't see it. What's the tone? Tell you about the covering. It's not you. It's not a covering. And here the Eibishter makes a story with a mice walk around and we don't feel nothing. Oh, that's Atzmus. Only God can do that. Oh, as we said before, the artist, any entity cannot do that. Can't produce that which is not you. He produces that which is not him, which is Eifel Chaemes, which is. That's the Shali is asking now. Just with a little bit of objective reflection. It should be natural and easy and fluid that we should come to the recognition that with the word of God the heavens came into being, and with the spirit of his mouth all their hosts, the stars, etc., so the universe. Now, the Reb Marash. Okay, I need a scientist here to explain this a little bit better than the sense I got, but that's maybe you're all welcome, doctor. Marash explains in the famous Hemshech Mayim Rabim. The Rebbe says, this is one of the Mamarim which he says in the Hayom Yom, he would review from time to time, say to purify the world. So there he explains I'm sure this can be explained beautifully in contemporary scientific language. That everything is made up of four elements. Whatever, hydrogen, whatever it is, contemporary language. Eish, ruach, mayim v'af, fire, gas, air, whatever is mayim, water, and off. Again, I heard once, I don't remember, I wouldn't understand it, but what this means in contemporary terms. But here's the point. When they separate, as la nothing remains. There is a force that holds it together. I'm sure this dovetails with quantum physics. There's a force that holds it all together constantly. V'nimtza she'ikar ha'metzias, Dr. Brown, whatever. V'nimtza she'ikar kol ha'metzias, she'ikar ha'metzias shekol ha'dvarim ha'gashmim. What is the ikar identity, the force of all physical things? It's a spiritual, not talking ruchni as in Kedusha, it's a spiritual energy. There's this force that blends umekasher and connects umachad, it's called the Yesodis, that they should all become one, because it's a higher energy than all of the manifested forms. That's what holds it all together. This is apiseichel. This is scientific inquiry. You come, you see the force. The source is the divine word that animates it, and creates it. And that is through his abundance. You can see this with the intellectual eye that's constantly holding it all together and bringing it to being. Says, ask the Barash, we should be able to see this. The constant word of God that stands in the heavens, it brings it and everything else into existence. Like he says of the famous words that Marash. If permission would be granted, just permission to be granted to see the reality, the physical energy reality. As a chayes v'haruchnius, the energy in the ruchnius. Not talking kedusha, we're just talking ruchnius, energy. Shebachol nivra of in every created being, hashifeya boy, which flows into it. Mimoisi pi avaya, that comes from the word of Hashem v'ruach piv, and the spirit of his mouth. Lahaya gashmis hanivra v'chumrei umamoshay. Neither cloudly nenu, we would not see the physicality of anything and to our physical eyes. If permission would be granted. Permission was not granted. Now, why wasn't permission granted? Permission, parole denied. Permission not granted. It's not just why wasn't permission not granted. How could it be not? How can we not see this? This is the reality of life. So he concludes. Here's where, boom, bim bam, here it is. Naturally, we should understand this, and we can understand it. Nonetheless, there's concealment after concealment, giving rise to the contrary condition. Loima, we walk around, and Paray says it to some degree. There's the Paray within, the Nile is mine, I am the Nile, I am me, I made myself, or a more subtle expression of whatever I've accomplished is my doing. But often in such a way that the next pasuk says, after the Bereshis bodily kim ace, as Baal Shem Tov explains, that's the whole tzimtzum there from Aleph till Tov and Chachma and Bina, as explained. What's the next pasuk? The result of the tzimtzum, darkness. Kanal shezeu inyan helem in your helem va'iloi l'mayda d'ketz l'mayla d'ketz. Above, that's what throws us, and that's how we understood the Tikkun Yisrael before the Frierdiker Rebbe. And he's pointing that way. No, he's pointing this way. The Ilu Madan Ketz is the impossible concealment.
The Ilu Madan Ketz is essentially
is there's tzimtzum and tzimtzum and tzimtzum and tzimtzum.
From me because of the it's the distance from me because of the tzimtzum.
Yeah, and the end is Eilam Hazeh. The Ein Ketz is Eilam Hazeh, because he is complete denial. The God is denial. No glimmer of revelation at all. There's a matzav here of walking oblivious to God. Well, Mamshir by Maimis, that is not concluding, and he continues in the Maimah. The coals, all of this hell and vehester is Gilui Atzmos. Koyach Ein Sof. This is the Atzmos invested in the Koyach Ein Sof. Last is Halomis Vastadim Kaila to make such concealments. He's quoting another Frierdiker Rebbe. Hashem, just like say Spashtas B'Ha'od, what's the word? Diffusion, better word. It's just like we pointed out that the descent of the earth to create the lowest levels, and yet it doesn't change. That's the reach of the Gilui. That's and that's the meaning of the Zohar. It's unfathomable that it descends so low and yet doesn't change. That's unfathomable. But even more so, now it's Kemoikim, but then it's going to be even more so, which is why the Eitzir is Dafka the Helam, because the Etzim is invested even more directly. Koich Atzmas to create denial. In the Kemoikim, that will come later, now it's kind of equality. Kemoikim, Koich Ein Sof, Tamad, Master, but Helmas Vestadim. So too, to create these concealments, only God can do that. She says, Inyan Oidin Sof Lamadin in Ketz. That's the Madad in Ketz. Gewaltig geschrieben. The Helem Achad Helem, the Tachlis Helem, to a Matzev of Aniva Afsioid. Mamshech, and he continues, and then if you get in the mind, the Zaldich Siv. 1 second. Okay, indeed, Atakel Mistata, you are concealing God. This concealment is Pchinas Atom Mamish. That's the expression of Atzmos. Yeah. That just like Giloi, Yom, the kindness of God is all day. Deeper meaning, Yom B'chinas Giloi, Yom means revelation. Just like revelation is you, it's Chesed and Kel, name of God. That's pretty obvious. But in the Kamaike, the Chiddush is the Achen, the indeed. That's the Chiddush, Achen indeed. Because it's a deeper expression of of a deeper truth. In the Kamaike, Mashem is Tater and Misalim, but Bechinas Atom Mamish is concealment. That's Atom Mamish. Giloi is Kel, Chesed. But Mistater, Atom. For the explanations we gave earlier, or better, the observations we gave earlier. In the words now that about Rashab, we just quoted Reb Marash. Now that Reb Rashab, the Marash was the Shaila. I could not feel bottom. How could you not see it? And it is seeable. And yet, you can walk around denying it. So now he brings the Rebbe Rashab. Nishmos in Baruch Behemshech Tov Risamach Vav Tov Ein Terab Ubekam Mekaymes says the Rebbe Rashab. Shekeshem, just like Shekecha Bligvol Nimshach Mepchinas Bligvol Ha'amiti. When he says the words Bligvol Ha'amiti, he means Atzmos, the true infinite. So just like the classic infinite, which means boundless, not bounded, but boundless. So just like boundlessness comes from the true Bligvol, Kach Kam Koyach HaMagbil, also similarly the ability for God to express himself in a contained way, and so contained that it will deny him. So first the koyach hamakbil, and then the actual koyach hagvul shalamatim, and then the koyach, the actual expression of this finite expression. That too, said Reb Marash, it's all the expression imshachim b'chinas bligvul amiti dafka, comes from the true bligvul, not from atzmos. Now again, we pointed out earlier that at the end of the day, it is equal. Bligvul and gvul, and that's the final achievement is the transformation of bligvul. But in the process, there's the epiphany that gvul expresses you more. Again, 3 matzovim. the matziv of the Bri at the outset, where high is high and low is low, and we're in a sorry, pitiful state. Then comes Adarabbe, we understand that Dafkin Helem, Dafkin Ilam Hazard, Nisav, Atzmas is drawn, and it's Dafkin Helem, for all the reasons we gave before. And then when we're Mamshich Megala Atzmas and Ilam Hazard, like a lever, we lift all of Ishtar Shalos, and Kayachab Ligvol is no longer, well, Ligvol, of course. Of course, God would reveal himself in infinite ways. No, what's infinite is nothing, should be nothing. He chose to reveal himself in infinite, and that's why you're divine. It's all him. Is that clear? That's B'Shava Mamish. That's the end. That's the third stage. So in a way, I don't know if it says it explicitly, it comes out in a way that after you make this world a dira, the Holy Stalshus becomes a dira, naturally. All becomes a dira le'yizbarach. That's only because it started here in the Helim. Ochein ato kel mistater. So it's already, this is, God, someone said this to me the other day at a chasana. Oh, it's murderig. It's murderig. It was like a fellow, Hirschel Bisk, whatever. He's he lives in Toronto. He's a Russian chassid, and he's legendary from what he did in Italy. And the Russian Jews came out. But this one chassid did, one shliach. He lives in Toronto. He's a very, very deep thinker, big masculine chassidus. He wrote an explanation on the Rebbe's Mafteach Antanya. He wrote a sefer, Psakuntras. I haven't seen it, but the Rebbe said he had great pleasure from it. And it's gewaldige diyukim, why the Rebbe's, it's an index, why this got in, why this didn't, the way he phrased it. I mean, gewaldige diyukim. The man, he's the kind of guy, sit there for hours motionless, just deep in thought, oblivious, like the old-time chassidim. Anyway, so here's a chasana here. There's nothing but chasana. Because why? Because the chassan is Korovim, the parents from Italy, then in Toronto. In fact, he's Mechatonim. Anyway, he said to me, I know he was quoting, he said, so this fellow became a chassid because of the Rebbe's sense of humor. That's what drew him. He's some academic intellectual, big chassid today, big Fabrenger. But what drew him was the Rebbe's sense of humor. So he said that we were sitting, just contemplating this in silence. The emes is, okay, what is the sense of humor? It's right here, friends. What's humor? Humor is you thought it was like this, then boom. What's a joke? Why tell me funny? Because you're telling a story so that you're going to conclude it's one way, and then bim bom. It's not what you thought. It's the opposite. That's the irony. The joke is the unexpected outcome. That's what commenters make something funny. This whole nisav is they wish to decide to have a sense of humor. Dafkin Helem. Sense of humor number one. Sense of humor level two. Bligvul is a mile. Was wenn? Bligvul is a mile. Like Gvul is a mile. Because it's Atzmus. That's sense of humor number two. And then the first sense of humor, this whole, to decide to have a whole creation. That's the most impossible, humorous thing. Needs a creation, the whole thing. That's fundamentally the greatest, the funniest thing ever. That there's a creation. No one expected that. And not only no one expected it, it could not even be. And then nothing but you. So the whole thing is a sense of humor. So what's the ayetz mizeh? If a chassid doesn't have a sense of humor, and something's missing. He's got to be tuned into the irony, into the which means, amongst other things, he cannot take himself seriously. You got to have a sense of humor. The whole mice is rooted in a sense of humor. If you take yourself seriously, don't touch the hello, you're missing the whole business. To be continued based on Hashem.